Hey, folks, it's Lindsey Hudson with SPS back in the building with my guys for the SPS Edge Show. Couldn't be a better crew of guys we got here. As always, Terry McCoy Jr. holding me down, and my guy Orlando Watkins, Coach Orlando Watkins, is back again. I'm looking extra crispy. I look like that's that brand new MacBook you got popping over there, huh?
There we go.
Good, man. You guys are great. We got a full show. I guess sometimes there's always like Coach Orlando Watkins is back again. Looking extra crispy. Like that sound good. Book you got popping over there, huh?
There we go.
He's wanting to make sure he can hear his name again. I know what that's all about. I mean, what a news week, that we have going on. And I want to thank Terry when we were talking about what we are going to talk about. He said, "Man, what's up with the slap?" And I was like, well, I guess he was getting the Oscar, Will Smith, that is, for his portrayal of a sports dad, and we could go with that. But then Orlando said a long time ago, this is a progressive sports show. But the reality is that in the time that we've had since the infamous slap that everyone heard, more information has come out. But I'll just start with this, man. There's just this one poll that went out that I thought was really interesting right here. And it states which side was more wrong. This was a poll by Blue Rose Research. It says Will Smith 47.7%. and Chris Rock 53.3%. But here's the thing, man. I was surprised at that because I thought that was closer than what I would have expected to be. So it's like a very split line. And I realized with our panel, Terry is not married yet. I've been married. Orlando is currently married. And I don't know if that just is one of those things. I'll start with you, Orlando, where it goes down the line between married views and unmarried views. I mean, I'm surprised that it's so close. What do you think?
I'm actually absolutely shocked that it's that close. I mean, let's be real. Let's stop trying to sugarcoat it.
Okay.
It was an assault, plain and simple. I love my wife, but I know if it was me, and I went to go slap Chris Rock, I'd be sitting in somebody's jail right now.
Right.
And that's just the bottom line. There was a lot of other ways that it could have been handled. I mean, at the next commercial break, I'd have pulled you to the side. I may have hit you at the commercial break. I don't know. But you'd have had some stern words, because I don't even want to get into the hitting thing, because no matter what, that is an assault. It's against the law. And I take my hats off to Chris Rock, because right now, in my eyes, Will Smith would have been hit with a $100 million lawsuit for assault and pain and suffering.
Yeah, so, I tell you what, I can appreciate that. And I thought about you, Orlando, and I was almost close to hitting you up offline because, I'm formally married, but I get it. But as a married man, I was wondering, like, is there a complete different mindset to the level of chivalry? But I'm saying that the way it goes down is no matter what, the outcome is you're going to be in a bad situation. Now, Will was able to leverage a whole lot from what I understand, Terry, that, the LAPD, they were not asked to remove him because they said if we were asked to remove him, we would have. Wanda Sykes is going on, Ellen DeGeneres, which is a wild program. Yep, no problem. And then she said she was totally outdone by, she was pissed, because she was one of the hosts as well. And I think the person who's probably benefiting the most right now is Chris Rock. I mean, he got his ticket sales has spiked so much, man. He got,
the roof.
$40 tickets going for $700. So I guess I just really get back to this thing about chivalry not being dead. And what really happens is this, and I'll go to you, Terry, is that, things happen where you want to be there to quote unquote protect your wife. Now, for me, protection is really about stopping somebody from physically hurting her. You're a celebrity. You're at the Oscars. It's almost said that whatever said to you at the Oscars works out to your benefit because you're going to be trending based on that one way or the other. Right. Then there's more footage that shows Jada laughing before and afterwards.
She was pulling the strings the whole way, Lindsey.
Yeah. Terry, you haven't crossed that threshold to marriage just yet, and not that should stop you from having an opinion. I just want to know from your perspective, just seeing all that, what you got, just what you took from that, and even what does a poll that we just saw mean to you?
I mean, I feel like, I understand, with feelings being involved from Will, it's hard to kind of control someone's reaction. But also, I mean, reactions come with consequences. I think, you know, when marriage does come to play for me, I would feel the same way. I would be really upset too. But I think there are ways to handle it. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of things going around talking about, you know, Will's protecting Black women. You know, you can protect Black women without assaulting another person. It's possible. I mean, words can happen. I think sometimes people think that, you know, physical, you know, altercation can lead to good things, but I haven't seen that yet. You know, I've always seen negative outcomes. And two, Will is a Black man. I mean, there are ways that people expect you to act. And when you follow through and do those things, you know, because it's funny, I just left the barbershop and we were talking about how, man, Will sometimes can get looked at and kind of get the pass. Like, oh, it's Will Smith. Will's untouchable. Will's at a different kind of platform where, you know, we don't expect that from Will. Now, when Will does that, Will gets the whole stance of like, oh, we knew it. All the haters and everybody that's looking to find something to point at Will again, you know, he gets all the slack. He gets all the hate that comes with his aggression. He needs anger management. You start hearing all these different things. So as a Black man and as a Black actor in Hollywood, we do always have to be to keep in mind of our image. But I mean, I think it was a straw that broke the camel's back, man. There was just a lot of backlash that was going on about Will, his marriage, and I'm hearing words on the street, man. Why didn't Will go use that aggression against August? That's a trending question on the street.
Because it's March. It ain't the month of August yet.
It's trending on the street. So, I mean, I think that's a fair question too.
Well, you know, my one of my early on posts, because I was overwhelmed by it. I tried to make light of it. You know, you guys probably saw the post that I put up there. Let me see if I can get some of these images. You know, would this be if this was the host of the Oscars? Now, come on, man. Or if it was The Rock, or let's just say any other male. And let me say, I got nothing but love but respect for Chris. And I think what this is allowing us to do to have a broader conversation is some men are not alpha males in the sense that they're going to be the dudes that will have a certain kind of physical presence to stop that. That's just a reality. That doesn't mean you got less respect for the guys. Chris Rock is one of those guys. Still got mad respect for him. He still go handle the game in a certain way. But come on, man. If it was The Rock, if it was, I mean, it's a list of men that we could list that if they said that, Will's not doing it. So let's just talk about that aspect of it too. But I just want to just say, man, you know, when you talk about the African-American male experience, you touched on that, Terry, with your barbershop experience today. When you talk about it, being the descendants of slaves and as, you know, not having much and making the most out of what we can, different things are more important to us than other things. For some may say we're more materialistic. That's because we never had anything. Others may say the matter of respect is so important because we don't really have much when it comes to that regard. So it really hurt us in a lot of ways. And you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made some comments about Will saying, dude, you kind of set us back with that. And if you really think about it, it was an all-Black production cast. My frat brother, Will Packer, will, you know, produce the show. So from mainstream society, they could be like, damn, you know, the brothers produced a show and it was a Black show. It got blackly Black. And, and did Will take that into consideration? Probably not. And then the straw that's stirring the pot, and I'll leave it at this, is Jada in all of this. You know, somebody made a good point about, you know, as a wife, she's supposed to grab and pull him back. And I will say this about my former wife, man. I do remember a situation that happened. It wasn't to the extent of me walking up in the Oscar, but I was pissed and I was doubling back on something. And my wife was like, "Nah, baby, don't do that." And I'm glad she did it because in the heat of the moment, yeah, you can justify it, but it's the outcome. Tina Boo got something to say. What you got to say, Tina Boo? Tina said, you all hear Jada Pinkett don't want Will Smith to talk about the slap publicly. She wants him to do it on a Red Talk tape. See, that's so dirty.
And see, Lindsay, that it all leads back to Jada. Because from what you're saying, all she had to do was grab his arm. Wait a minute. Hold up. But she sat back. Now they're showing film today where she was laughing. Like she enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And if she holds back and he goes on there and talks about it, the sad part is that we are all, for lack of a better term, forced to lock into that. She gets all this media. But you know what, though? Here's the thing. That can come back to haunt her. Okay, let's say she gets the exclusive with her husband talking about it. The vitriol that she may get and how people will push back on that, man, maybe more than you would think, and that's what you can't really prepare for. What did Terry McCoy say? Jada's a puppet master. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. And I did see a lot of women. I won't belabor this too much. I did see a lot of women jumping up saying, that it's all about protecting women and all that. And I think that comes from a deficit of not knowing what real love is like. I mean, okay,
it's true.
So if I wasn't Will Smith and I'm conducting myself like that, you will come bail me out of jail? What's gonna happen when my job says, Lindsay, you did what? Where? Okay, we're gonna have to dismiss you. Or you did this, and that. So all that stuff that he did at that point, take yourself out of it, put yourself in that situation. And I don't care what you say. Will is in the doghouse. Will is in the doghouse. And I ain't talking about with Jada. He's in the American mainstream dog house because ain't nobody gonna be cheering him on. Believe me, ain't no who you gonna get an endorsement for? Some boxing gloves? because nobody, if anything, is at a standstill. And just think about this. I'll leave it with this, unless you guys got something else to say. Had he not did that, went on and got his Oscar, and how many people was lined up waiting to say, "Man, let's do something else"? And now they all got to fall back.
That $20 million of film quote is gone.
Yeah. And now you get all these other things happening, and guess who ended up being the one who came up big time? Chris Rock.
Right.
Playing it cool. What did Tina Boo say? Not to be messy. Y'all know Will Smith used to mess with Dwayne Martin. Well, there's always been that conversation about their relationship being a little bit too cozy. But as it relates to right now, I think what can be said about Chris Rock, and here's a fine line, and Terry kind of touched on it. I know you know about this too, Orlando. As Black men, it's really important that we have a certain amount of bravado. And a lot of people may say, well, Chris Rock, that was a punk move. But Chris Rock was very aware of the surroundings. And at the end of the day, that happened. Will comes off as a complete ass. Chris had to come up. And to be honest, personally, I didn't lose any respect for Chris. You know why? I don't see Chris as being that kind of guy. I just don't. And somebody said, no, forget that, whatever. Like, dude, why even act like that if that's not even who you are? Well, it could lead to a worse outcome. Well, at least he fought back. And it could be the people who saying all that saying it because they haven't had these type of experiences and opportunities. So I don't know. Anything else you guys have for that?
I mean, it really just like, I've heard a question too. It's like, if the roles were switched, would Jada be sticking up for Will with their history? I mean, I don't think she does. In my opinion,
unanimous. People's consent was unanimous that she would not. If that was Ellen DeGeneres, would she go check Ellen DeGeneres or do whatever? No. Yeah. And now she's saying that if that's the case, that you don't talk about unless you come on a red table. That's a bad deal. So with that, we talked about it. We discussed it. There's more stuff coming out. The Oscars are investigating. I think as more time comes, that okay. I guess here's the question: do you think they go snatch that? They go snatch the Oscar back from them? What do you think?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
Because I tell you what. Hold on.
Well, they may be backed into a corner where they have to, because they came out. They came out with the statement stating that they asked them to leave, and then they turned around. Turn around and they're saying that that's not true right now.
Yeah, or we could have lied about that. Yeah, we could have done more. Well, it's just like, I think the more time go by and the more he doesn't say anything, the more it's going to be to his disadvantage. And I tell you what, if she mess around and go and try to monetize that red table talk, see, that's going to piss some people off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to see. Well, we'll keep watching it. We always go keep up with the most current thing. But speaking of sponsors, I want to shout out to my guy, Horatio Williams and the Horatio Williams Foundation, always holding us down on next Monday, or Monday after next, that is, the 11th, we'll be in Detroit at MGM Casino for the Coaches Forum. That's going to be a great experience. A lot of great coaches. Shout out to Dick's Sporting Good for all their great support, as well as Gilead Sciences. So with that, guys, we're going to keep moving through. We had some state championship basketball that just recently happened. Hats off to all the state champions, that is. Williamson did it. They ran the table, undefeated season. They were able to beat Grand Rapids Catholic, if I'm saying it correctly. I know my guy Fat is playing for that squad. He ended up getting that offer to Michigan State just recently. But Terry, as well as Orlando, what was on you guys' radar as it relates to these state championship in basketball? Terry, I'll start with you.
Man, just Williamston finishing it. I remember, we were talking about how if they could, I think their experience, they were ready for this moment. And it was really cool to see it come down to the wire. So it wasn't easy. We knew it wouldn't be easy, so it was a great prediction on our part. But I mean, they did it. So hats off to that community. And the next people coming up, it's definitely stability placed there in Williamston. Athletes that are learning how to win, learning how to win the right way and play the brand of basketball they want to display. So, I mean, what a greater way to end, such great athletes that have left their mark. I think both scored over 1,000 points. I don't know if Doc's hit it because he missed that year at Williamston. I know I believe Jacob did hit 1,000. So, just guys that left their mark, have really made a difference in Williamston basketball history since they stepped on as freshmen. So, what a greater way to, end off that run. And there have been previous runs that just haven't ended up in state championships. So, just a good way for those guys who had high expectations coming in and were able to end it off on the right note.
I love that. Shout out to Latasha Prince. She's our media advertiser in the Midwest. Shout out to you, Latasha. Always looking out for us, putting us out there. Shout out to Matt Long, representative of Melvindale High School as well. Appreciate you, Matt. Coach Watkins, what was your take on these state championship finals? I know you're only one season or two away from being there with your Cody comments.
Oh, we are in a rebuilding year. But hats off to the boys side and the girls side, because I think we're tending to forget this was still a COVID year. So to the balancing act, just to get to the finish line and compete the way that they did, you've got to give these coaches and these players their due. Like I said, Williamston, great game. D. said, all great games. The only comment I have on the girls' side, and I'm going to ask both of you. It's my time to ask the question now, Lindsay. To me, it's becoming on the girls' side of it really a haves and a have-nots. We don't see that other team peaking up and being competitive. It's always pretty much the same teams in the hunt, and it's been that way too long. Yeah, I
mean, but your experience. Shout out to Matt Long. He said Schoolcraft was impressive too, right? I know that was the case. I just think that that parity or lack thereof in women's basketball. I mean, whether we say from a WNBA to collegiate, and of course along high school. I mean, shout out to Coach Brown over at DEPSA, man. They keep it happening. They keep putting people in a space to be successful, and whether it's Mrs. Basketballs and all those type of things. I just think that it's just going to still take more time, unfortunately, for that sport to grow. And let me be careful when I say grow. For the sport to be able to get the resources so it can trickle down to the high school level where other programs can build up. I mean, you said it yourself. I mean, what is it going to take to be able to steer those type of athletes over to your program at a Cody or somewhere else, Orlando? What do you think?
Right. Major changes. But it's sort of ingrained. Once you get a program like in our prep or West Bloomfield or Edison, the kids, and I don't know, I rarely do I see it on the boys side, but once you establish a program like that and you have a good run, now every eighth grader in the world is saying, this is where I'm supposed to go.
Right.
No matter, we used to always laugh. There was always two varsity teams walking the hall in King back in the day that never touched the floor.
They never touched the floor?
They never touched the floor because it was solid ball players that just think this was the place I was supposed to be and never made the team.
Wow. Oh, I get it. They're like, we going over there no matter what. And
they had varsity starters walking the hall that never played for King.
So they would have went somewhere else and been running.
They would have went somewhere else would have been fantastic. And it's just, I kind of get it because I really think parents are more careful of what programs that they send their girls. Where on the men's side of it, I think parents are a little bit more lenient to where they're going to send their young men, to school. So,
yeah, I think that's a mere reflection of gender inequality in America. I mean, you know, it's kind of like the boys. Oh, you going with your cousin, coach? Okay, nice to meet you. The girls like, wait a minute, let's do a forensic, you know, test on who is, and rightfully so. But you know, nowadays it goes back and forth. Terry, what's your thoughts on, you know, Coach Watkins' question regarding, you know, being able to see that success at more than just one place per se and across the board? And to, you know, Matt Long, shout out Matt Long. He talked about Wayne Memorial, for example, their girls basketball program being impressive. So is it the coaches that the programs are more geared around right now, or is it the programs themselves, or is it the coaches that they follow, particularly with women, girls basketball?
Well, one thing I've noticed here, specifically in Lansing, it's really just I can't really say it's the resources, which I think they do come into play as well, but I think it's just the emphasis of importance. I think, you know, with girls year round, I know especially at Eastern and Lansing schools here, you know, a lot of the girls don't touch a basketball until 2 weeks before tryouts or at the tryout. You know, where you see other schools like Williamston, Hazlitt, DeWitt, those girls start playing year round. I mean, they're in the schools in 5th grade playing and hooping together and building that chemistry. So then in high school, it's second nature. So I think, you know, once parent, and I think it's parents too. I mean, being able to get their girls to practice. I've seen parents get their sons to football practice with more of emphasis than getting their daughter to her basketball practice. So she has to stay here. She has to babysit. She has to do that. You know, it's like, well, let her go play too. I mean, I just think that right now, and I think with you using the word growing, I think that is a place of growth where parents deem that girls in athletics are just as important as boys. Like those girls do deserve to be treated the same when it comes to being on time for practice, being there for summer workouts. God knows how important those are in the season. So I think right now it's just we're just learning and growing into this culture, and I think most places know. And I think, you know, there are girls in those cities that are struggling, and I think they gravitate to that culture in those schools that keep winning because they know that there is that importance. They know that there's that emphasis in being at practice and that discipline. So I think right now it's just one of those things where every school is still trying to growing and trying to place their roots, because there are athletes there. It's just that it doesn't get taken as serious. And I think coaches are trying to push now. You know, Coach Wells, you know, has offered me, you know, a kind of position as the assistant girls coach at Eastern. So I'm exploring that a little bit in my coming year. So,
there you go.
We're just trying to build, man, just bringing, you know, weight programs and summer league.
Wait a minute. This means there's a potential you coaching your sister?
There's a potential.
I love it. I love it.
Hey,
shout out to your dad, but shout out to your mom. Tell your mom, don't give you no drama about how
No. It's all love. But I mean, there's a time to be tough with them. But I think, you know, girls basketball is still growing. And it's something that in the city of Lansing specifically, I think girls are still learning, you know, and I went to the middle school games. Girls are cheering and hyping each other up. And I think I just don't want that to go away. And I think right now at Eastern specifically, just me being around that facility, there are great, you know, people around them to hold that stability and to be able to keep them to keep playing, because that's what it is. The girls want to play, but once they go home, there's no importance. There's no sense of worth in wanting to play.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
That's not true. That's not true. I mean, if anything, right now, I'm going to be in a role where she could possibly become better than me. So I think that's props to me as well as big brothers. You know, she growing up watching me play. So who does she get it from?
Oh man, y'all got some dinner time conversation. That's so awesome. Shout out to the Ford family. Appreciate your dad. He was right on time. Okay, we're going to keep an eye on that, man. So it was definitely a great season. Shout out to everybody and the success that they had. Kind of staying with the high school hoops, man. As you guys have been knowing by following me, I'm getting some great feedback, and got the good news yesterday, and then today, Under Armour Association, and just, you know, a few hours ago, Adidas Gauntlet, SPS is credentialed to be able to cover them. Got a great weekend coming up in Indianapolis, a weekend after next. I'll definitely be on the scene, just really working out the logistics as far as who, what, when, and where. But it's great though, man. But I just look at that as, just as we talked about what you said, Terry, with the basketball on the girls' side and what Coach Watkins is saying, just really being able to give these athletes an opportunity to get a little bit more exposure. You know, what's unique about the SPS Edge platform is those interviews like They don't get those type of things. We have a whole professional setup, a little bit more in-depth interview, and it gives them a chance to kind of prepare themselves. And now everybody's looking at going to the next level. And what I want to be able to do with this is be able to engage these elite athletes, give them exposure to help them with their transition, whether it's a long journey in basketball or not. But when you think about Under Armour and the Gauntlet, and of course EYBL, which we'll probably talk about in coming weeks, Terry, what comes to mind to you when you think about these different circuits? And let's just call it what it is. This is big because it is the shoe circuit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think what's next, EYBL. I think we're just checking off the boxes of exposure, and a ton of great athletes have played in those shoe circuits and shoe circuit tournaments, and you got the pre-qualifiers, and then you got the qualified tournaments, and they just keep going and going, and just a great place, a lot of great basketball being played. You see different cultures in there from different cities and parts of the country, so I think it's definitely really cool to be able to have that, and you being there with some Michigan guys, just being able to put on for the mitten and just be able to play well. And a lot of guys, have been in that world before. Some maybe their first time getting this kind of exposure. And, it's always great touching points and teaching points to be able to see. And it may take a butt whooping to learn once, or it may take you, continue to learn and just that building that fellowship. And one thing I noticed too, last thing, is that a lot of these players in the McDonald's All-American games, they know each other because of these games. So hence, maybe some of these guys build relationships and bonds, and they go to the same college and go crazy. I mean, we've seen that with Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, and RJ Barrett. Guys just building relationships, teaming up, and dominating on the collegiate level. So I think it's a brotherhood when it comes to these shoe gauntlets. Everybody knows the great players in the Adidas gauntlet, Under Armour gauntlets, the Under Armour tournaments. And so I think it's a great way to broadcast, Michigan. And what a better person, what a great person to be there. Lindsay, does a great job of interviewing and really getting those players' perspectives and touches each game. So I think it's going to be a great time this summer.
No, I appreciate that. Orlando, before you go, I was going to say, even with the Under Armour Association, I want to shout out to my guy, Teddy Williams. He's a part of Under Armour, the UA Storm, so they're going to be down there. Shout out to his mom, Tamara. Also, the Reach family. I talked about Reach last week. Shout out to Marcus Webster. Shout out to the whole Reach family. So it's great that I can look at being able to connect with all those. I'm sorry, Orlando, what were you going to share as well?
No, it's just that all of those, I'm an AAU guy. So, I have my thing about the gym shoe circuit. But the whole thing is that circuit and those teams and those players and the amount of dedication and the quality of talent that is coming through there is absolutely phenomenal. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of work to get there, to get that invitation to play on those circuits at this point. And then once you get there, the talent level is absolutely unreal. So this is a good look, Lindsay. I'm excited now to see what you come back with. It's an incredible opportunity. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. I'm gonna take full advantage. And speaking of opportunities, shout out to my guy Ken Flowers over at my alma mater, Henry Ford. Man, that same weekend I'll be back in time for it. Over 20 college coaches will be in attendance for the Detroit Public School Community District Boys Basketball Senior Showcase. It's going to be a free event for unsigned seniors. Registration starting at 2 p.m. I've been getting calls and emails for student athletes outside of Detroit Public Schools that they will be placed on a waiting list, from what I understand. But it's going to be a great event. Shout out to Nika McEvans as well over with DPS and Jay Alexander. Of course, you remember some years ago, Horatio Williams, Orlando, with the Horatio Williams Second Chance game.
I helped with the girls.
Yeah, we saw the first iteration. If I remember correctly, man, it was a great opportunity for the girls. Them college coaches were in there, man, swooping them up, Absolutely. So it was another great opportunity. So, Terry, I like to always get your perspective from your lens and how you view things. I mean, when you see an opportunity, and last I heard, there was some 50 kids to be involved, and I'm sure that number is growing. But when you hear the opportunity for unsigned seniors to get one more last look, to get in front of some college coaches, we got D1, D2. Well, you got, let's be honest, you got community college level, you got D3, you got NIA, and let's be honest, with the portal, that's all that opportunity really
That's
available.
all that's out there.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. So Terry, when you hear something about unsigned senior event coming from state champion Henry Ford's coach Ken Flowers, what do you think of?
Yeah, I think in the college recruiting game, it's a bunch of chances and opportunities. It's a game of opportunities as the player. And you have an opportunity to change your family's life. Whether it's getting a full scholarship, partial scholarship, all that's money talks when it comes to sports and being able to have your school paid for. So just the opportunity to play against coaches, get evaluated. Maybe a no becomes a yes somewhere else. Maybe you get a great take from a coach to improve your game, and you move on and you work on that, and another coach sees it and swoops you up. So I think, a ton of eye candy with coaches coming in, picking and choosing who they want. Great opportunity for both players and coaches. I think sometimes when recruiting, there are a lot of players that get that swoop under the radar that you don't really hear about. And it sucks because it's just a part of the game. You can't recruit and you can't give every kid a scholarship. It's just a part of the game, like I said. So being able to come in and those players still realizing and understanding that they have the talent to play at the next level, it's always fun when you get opportunities like this to be able to play in front of college coaches and to get your name out there, where if you show out, that's a scholarship in the making. They want to hear about you. They want to hear about your grades. That leads to getting that scholarship offer. So I think it's really interesting. It's really going to be a lot of fun, seeing players that are still working on their game, even though it's outside the season. I know like AAU, sometimes they have, in the tournaments I've seen with the Storm and all those tournaments, there have been a lot of unsigned 17U teams. So the unsigned seniors continue to play and the coaches keep track with them. So it's really interesting. It's really fun to see unsigned seniors still pursue it. And a lot of those guys, man, end up changing their families' lives and getting good scholarships.
No, that's huge. Like we said earlier, Orlando, you said you were able to be a part of that early on with the girls getting on. I mean, when you hear about this now, present day, what does it make you think of?
It's fantastic, and you nailed it on the head. Right now, I've got a couple of seniors that are unsigned right now that are, we've got offers coming in, and it's just a point of decisions right now. But the portal has just changed the game completely. The schools that you thought would be coming to recruit your players aren't doing it anymore. They're sitting and watching that portal first. So to have the opportunity to for those NAIAs, the D3s, the D2s, Division II JUCO, Division I JUCO to come out and have an opportunity to see these guys is just, fantastic. The only thing, and I love Kenny, but Kenny, you should have had 2 sessions, one for the boys and one for the girls. Title IX. But no, I'm just happy. I'm happy to see it because it gives. When Horatio did it, we had the opportunity to really get a lot of girls scholarships.
I saw that. I mean, I remember being there and saying, "Dang, if you was a girl with some talent, you was gonna get an opportunity right then," because it was that way. I'm sure Kenny is hearing that, and I'm sure the thought is going to be get through this first year and what the growth,
right?
Be able to get that set up for next year.
But I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure if Kenny's running it, it's going to be a fantastic program. The house is going to be packed, and it's going to be something special. So
A1 all day long. One thing I forgot to shout out our guy Ray Kelser as well. He was covering the finals game, that Williamson game. Boy was so sharp though, man. Rarely do I take a picture, man. Hey, my man was killing them. You know what I'm saying? I got to put that out there for Ray. That was at the championship weekend for MHSA. Good thing. Again, let's shout out to people who make it happen. We keep saying this guy's name, which talks about the impact he can have. Shout out to Horatio Williams and the Horatio Williams Foundation for all support. Looking forward to the coaches forum. That'll be the day after the Detroit Public Schools Boys Showcase, and SPS will be in the building. Shout out to Gilead Sciences, as well as Dick's Sporting Goods. So what do we have, guys, as we keep moving through this day? I did get a lot of comments being made as we get ready to talk about the Final Four. I want to address one right now because someone was asking us to do a little bit of homework, but we'll play the nerd role and say I already got it done. Who's asking this? We appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Hoops Hype says, can I give y'all an assignment? I remember someone had y'all watch Cheryl Miller and USC doc. If y'all can go and watch the doc on Lucia Harris and come back next week and we can talk about her impact. Hoops Hype already got it done. I watched it last night.
Okay.
It was about a 30-minute doc, and this is the documentary. And actually, I want to say this is crazy. This is the documentary that the award was being given out for. I want to say, I think Questlove.
Right, they won the Oscar after the slap.
Yeah, it wasn't Quest. Yeah, because they were talking about now wait a minute. Let me just make sure. Did Questlove get the Oscar for his Summer Jam or Summer Days thing? Because this was the one I think ended up going to Shaquille O'Neal. But with that being said, I think they're champ. So anyway, I watched it last night. It's about 33 minutes, man. It was a great documentary. Lucia Harris played for Mississippi's Delta College. They had a major program, and she literally got recruited. She got asked to come play for the New Orleans Jazz. Wow. And she had declined to go. She was starting a family. She ended up having some health issues that ended up being diagnosed as being bipolar. Seemed to be a sweet young lady, but it was just really a matter, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, her kind of being before her time because there wasn't really a structure there. And she talked about, how all the men went on to make millions, and there just wasn't an opportunity for her with that. So I think it'd be good for you guys to check that out as well. But I did go see it in Hoops Hype. I hope that was a good overview of what it was. But talking about the women's Final Four first, Hoops Ball and Scoop said congrats to Aaliyah Boston, winning Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Let me ask you, the young fella, and the young fellas too. In 4 years, who will be the best WNBA player? Boston Paige, Caitlin Clark, or of Iowa? I'll jump out there and say, I will start by saying I don't know. When you talk about Aaliyah Boston having the ability to be so dominant both on the offensive, defensive end, I think that gives an opportunity to have more longevity. But, man, it just all depends, man. And I'm not even trying to play it safe. It depends on where they go, who they're playing with. Look at someone like a great scorer in Florida, like Caitlin Clark. She got to really, it's about being the right fit. I just think it's so hard to say. I would push back to Hoop Ball Scoop and say, who do they think and why? But with that being said, when you guys hear that about Aaliyah Boston, are you guys in a position to even make a prediction on who you think will be faring better going forward in the league in WNBA?
I think Boston, just because of her dominant performances over the past year. I mean, she's getting double doubles against the top programs across the country. What was the last one? It was what I know she had 28 points, like 22 rebounds, I think, against North Carolina. So she's to me, she's just a beast, and I would have to say she would be the best WNBA player, aside from injury or anything else like that. If she stays healthy, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, being on both sides of the ball. Terry, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, all three have the chance to be some studs. I mean, maybe like a Tamika Catchings, Taurasi, and Parker. I mean, we're just players that are going to be in the league and really make an impact. We're talking about the youth. I'm leaning more towards Boston. I think a player that reminds me, kind of like a great player at South Carolina, Aja Wilson, a really good inside. So I really just think that, Boston can give you, many dimensions of a player. She could be an inside presence, defensively, offensively as well. Hence her winning the award. So I just think that, she has the best stability coming in. I think that there aren't many people that can match up with her, which I think is the deciding point for me. You can kind of match up with Paige and Caitlin just because of their game style, but not a lot of girls can match up. Women, I should say, not a lot of women can match up with Aaliyah Boston. It's a mismatch. So I think just her dominance, I think, is just what the deciding factor for me, just to say that she's my favorite to be the best. All could change, but I think, it's hard to find somebody to put someone in front of her and hold her from not getting a double-double.
Yeah. And then also, too, man, like you said, I think we kind of all in agreement with Aaliyah Boston. The fact that she can play on both sides of the ball so dominantly, she's going to find a place. I mean, that's like, you can be in at all times. I can use you for defense. I can use you for offense, and people are going to want that. So with that, let me go on to another comment that was like that. It was somebody mentioned Who's Ball or Scoop also said, I advise everyone to watch the women's Final Four tomorrow. Great basketball. The UConn NC State game was great TV. Yep, but everyone support and watch the women's final. That is the goal. And that Final Four will be South Carolina versus Louisville, and then Connecticut versus Stanford. We're going to see. I think that everybody is in agreement that women's college basketball is getting more of the publicity that it deserves. But with that being said, Tion Green said, question, what female players have revolutionized the women's game? I'm talking all the time. Ooh, that's a broad question.
Ooh, that's another show.
I know, a show within itself. Tion also said the media loves pay. I don't know. I mean, that's one of those. I mean, from Lucia Harris that we were just watching to Cheryl Miller. I mean, it's so many unsung stories, I think, in women's basketball. And, as a minority, as an African American in this world, that's one thing speaking out as a minority, but it's all like, for lack of a better term, the double minority of being a woman in sports is that, so many other subplots as far as what could have happened, what could have been. I mean, there's so many other great players we could talk about. I mean, even if you look at Dawn Staley, Dawn Staley didn't win a national championship as a player, but here she is, potentially building a dynasty, as we talked about before. So many different ways you can look at it. But that being said, it's a great thing that women's basketball is getting a light shined on it now for growth opportunities. Terry, what do you have to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, all time, I think that's a hard question. I think we see different dynamics of players now growing. Then I can't really speak because I didn't see it. But for what I'm seeing, there's a trend. So back then, you got a lot of forwards taking off. A lot of fours, threes, wings really doing it. And I think right now we're seeing kind of guards kind of come up too, regardless of the size. So I think, the media does love Paige. I do agree, but she has that pedigree. She has that UConn, crowd behind her. She also, has a shoe game. She's social media. Her and Jalen Suggs were friends in high school. So I think she just has that dimension where like the media grabs to her, they love her. But I think also too, I think there are a lot of players in the WNBA that impact so many different, crowds of people. I mean, you have Candace Parker touching certain people, Maya Moore touching certain people, Tamika Catchings, she was playing certain people. Sabrina, who's just now like the whole Kobe feel, and she's touching certain people. So it's just so dynamic. How like one player can have their favorite player be Skylar Diggins, and like Skylar Diggins isn't one of the top players in the league, but fans still love watching her play. And I think we're starting to see fan favorites, and that's causing the game to grow as well too. But I mean, all the people you said on there are some solid picks. I mean, I would even throw like Taurasi in there as well. It's just so many great players that like, even as a man myself, I grow into loving those players too, because it's just like we just see it. We see their drive, we see their will to win and their will to grow the sport, and I think all of that contributes a big part to growing the sport.
Yeah, Tion says hers is Tion Green's is Cheryl Miller, Lucia Harris, Cynthia Cooper, Candace Parker, Maya Moore. I mean, you can't even like it's an awesome question, but it's also nerve wracking because you can't even. There's so many different dimensions you can go in. She said, I'm old enough and I still haven't seen no one like Cheryl Miller. Yeah. And then, but what stands out to me as I go to you, Orlando, about that with Cheryl Miller is that, again, that before her time, like she could play with the dudes. I mean, somebody can argue Brittany Griner, you know what I'm saying? In the sense that her presence, that she has become so dominant to where the idea of her femininity is kind of morphed to a level of masculinity. And I say that with all due respect, to the point where it may end up impacting whether she's considered somebody who needs help to be brought back to America. In other words, she becomes so dominant that people have lost potential compassion for her compared to if it was more of a feminine appearing player. And y'all can jump on me about that, but I had no malice in that statement, compared if it was something like that. Tion said, I'm a man, sir. Tion, my bad. You got a pink background. I didn't know. Hey, yeah, you kind of stumbled the first time. I was like, my bad, fam. You good. I'm a man, sir. That's what's up, Tion. We appreciate you all day long. I'm glad you joking through it. Orlando, what do you have to share about that?
I mean, Tion is right. I mean, all of Tion's choices are right on. You got Cheryl Swoops. It's just there's so many to name. You know what I'm saying? And as the game grows, I mean, Grindr, you got to put Grindr. I mean, my God, she's one of the most dominant post players. You know, let's put the male or female. So, so you've got to, you know, and then hey, let's put it out there free Grindr.
Free
It needs to be. That's
free
it. That's it. I mean, that whole Russian situation is absolutely ridiculous. You can say who Baller Scoop said Candace Parker has changed the game. So many of them have changed the game because the game is still at its infancy.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near what the NBA has accomplished. So we're going to see a lot of names and a lot of changes in the years. And what's going to happen now, and I hate to say it, it took a war to do it, but you're going to see now these players staying home.
Ooh.
And it's going to press the WNBA to elevate those salaries. And you're going to see players that are going to commit to the WNBA game. We watched the WNBA thinking that, you know, hey, this is their profession. This is what they're doing. These women are playing in 2-3 leagues a year.
Wow.
Professional league. We watched the WNBA and amazed at what they're doing. My God, I can't see LeBron playing 2 full seasons back to back and being any good. These women are excelling at a high level. I'm talking about, I'm in Brittany Griner. I'm going to go through a full WNBA season. Then I'm hopping on a plane and doing a full Russian season.
Yeah.
And doing year after year after year. That's just tremendous athletes, and they're not giving the credit that they deserve.
Your dad, Terry McCord, said, "Do y'all remember Lynette Woodard back in the day?" I can't say that I do. That name familiar to you? Lynette Woodard. You have to give us some more background on that, Terry.
That might be.
Yeah. With that, we can just shift right on over to the men's Final Four. Hey, shout out to Coach Holloway.
Real quick, Lindsay.
Oh, please.
No predictions on the girls' side.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you for that.
I was ready.
Vegas is tuning in. I think the house favorite is South Carolina. You know, winning tomorrow night and also winning the Final Four. But I guess the question would be, who is South Carolina going to end up playing when you look at that bottom bracket? When you talk about, is that Stanford? Is it Stanford versus Connecticut? Who comes out of that?
I'm gonna give everybody my upset pick.
All right,
Stanford
overall run the table.
No. Stanford versus South
UConn.
Carolina in the final. South Carolina gonna win it all.
Okay. So you say, so who is Stanford gonna beat?
UConn.
Stanford will beat UConn and lose to South Carolina.
In the final.
Okay, well, you know, hey, you got a pretty good track record, man, when you start putting stuff out there. I lost Terry. I don't think I got rid of him. We wait for him to come back. You know, that'd be good. But in the interim, I want to talk about moving to the men's Final Four. But even before that, other news is that St. Peter's coach, Shaheen Holloway, ended up inking the deal with Seton Hall. He's going back to his alma mater as a head coach. They said that really didn't have too much to do with what they did in the Elite Eight, because he was already supposed to be set up to go make that deal happen. And as I talked about on my Monday Motivation, he was he was the MVP, Orlando, of the 1996 McDonald's All-American game over Kobe Bryant. Isn't that something?
Wow.
And later comes back to end up being a coach. We had a question while we're waiting on Terry to come back with us. Who Ball of School says, why don't the women's game keep the history alive like the men? We know about Cheryl Miller and Lisa Leslie in the early WNBA years, but why don't the NBA do like the NBA, keep the history alive? We all know about Bill Russell and Oprah. I think it comes back down to money. You know, Orlando, you touched on that earlier, man. I mean, that 75 anniversary thing, all that stuff is sponsor driven. All that stuff has to be underwritten by somebody somewhere. And when the WNBA is looking at, you know, spreading its resources across the board, I think it's less likely you're going to get those opportunities for those one-off type programs to do that. I mean, think about how many times we watch the All-Star game that's presented by. I mean, even right now when we watch, you know, the game tonight, I know it's a big game coming up between the Nets and and who's going to be the Nets and the Bucks tonight. When we watch that, it's going to be sponsored by. I just think it's a matter of the money. I think the more money that flows, the more opportunity is going to come. I think Terry had the win must have blew his wife out. But no, I can appreciate what he's saying. But you were kind of touching that earlier, Orlando. It's about, let's just get right there about the money. What you think?
Yeah, that's the bottom line. As the sport grows and it gets in age like the NBA, you'll see them keeping the history and the stats. Now, don't think that it's disappeared. They have it. They have it
sitting in the archives,
right? But there's just no platform for it at this point.
Yeah.
As it grows, you'll see the platform, and you'll see it out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Who's Baller Scoop was talking about the big game night between the Bucks and the Nets. Who y'all like? I mean, Giannis is saying, man, I don't care what y'all thinking. I'm here to get this again. Giannis is like, I don't care who the hype is, who y'all talking about. He did that against Philly, down to that last block against Joel Embiid at the end. Giannis is like, cuz, I'm here to win it all. And I'm not seeing anything any different, I mean, the Nets still trying to get into the playoffs.
Right. I have to agree with you, sir.
Yeah. Speaking of the NBA, I know Terry probably pop up unless he's trying to wait for college football. Terry loves college football. He ain't going to miss that. But right. Speaking of the NBA, man, I got to put it out there. I don't know if it was who's ball, but, ain't looking too good for them Lakers. Not looking too good for them Lakers at all. As the positive, the comedian Bubba Dub say trash. And I don't even know what to say about that.
The experiment has failed.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm sorry. I jumped for a second. I appreciate who Baller Scoop bring me back. Going back to the men's Final Four. Because we jumped to talk about Shaheen Holloway, and I think it threw me off when Terry had to step away for a second. Hoops High says Duke the team of destiny. It just feels like it is, and I kind of find myself pulling for him. Yeah, man. Once at this point, I just see a storyline here. I mean, we're back to a Final Four, a blue blood Final Four, if I'm fair. Villanova, quote unquote. Well, no, Villanova can make the cut because Villanova had beat Georgetown years ago. Back with
Villanova is the team right now.
Villanova
injury, injury and all. Villanova. Just keep an eye on Villanova.
Keep an eye on them. I would say
Jay Wright is one of the best coaches out there. You have a team that virtually does not turn the ball over. They're the closest thing to perfection in basketball there is right now.
Yeah, because if you don't do turnovers, that's going to save you compared to teams that do. So, right. So you're talking, blue blood Final Four. What do you see this Duke North Carolina matchup? How do you see?
I would love to see the storyline play out, and Coach K make it to a finals, but it's not going to happen. I'm the upset. Take notes again. It's North Carolina.
Yeah, Letitia came back on that. What you said, Orlando said Nova played too slow and missing more will hurt. I don't think they can pass Kansas. Okay, well,
hold on, Letitia. That's the object. That is the object. They play their game, and nobody's going to speed them up, and they're not going to turn that ball over.
So, Letitia, you got to make sure you check in with us next week after everything so you can let Coach Orlando know if you was right or if he was right. So I look forward to you guys coming back together on that. Going back to Hoop Baller, Scooby said, do you find yourself pulling for Duke? It's crazy. These young kids kind of have grown and gotten better during this tourney with all the pressure. Yeah, I totally agree that there has been some growth with them during the tourney. I totally agree with that. I think that loss at home, letting Coach K down, quote unquote, if you will, and what a turnaround story that will be. Letitia said, well, I will be back next week and I want my $100. Oh man.
Well, no, I don't remember nothing about no $100. Where the $100 come in?
Yeah, Letitia, you're not playing with it. She's like, I want my $100. Hey, Atlanta, that's on you, cuz. That is on you. But it's gonna be some good things to watch going forward. And then with the men's, we're talking about. So who's crowned? You said Villanova's go crown it and go from there. So we're not even thinking about Kansas, huh?
No, Kansas goes bye-bye.
Yeah, go bye-bye. Yeah, Bill
bye-bye.
Self, man, he got to be the luckiest dude around because I guess when you win a national championship, they say you will never have to leave here, as far as we're concerned, and it go like that. We'll see. We'll see what else we got. We can move on over to the NBA, like I was going to say, man. And, them Lakers, man. There's a lot of storylines going on in the NBA right now, but Giannis is playing strong. They're trying to say that D-Book is in the MVP conversation now, finally. Also, Phoenix is going really hard right now, man. It's a lot happening in the NBA. And then, like I said, the fact that the actual Lakers probably won't even make the play-in game. You're just saying that's where the ball bounces, man. Who's your favorite if you had to pick a Eastern and Western Conference final champion?
Ooh.
I'll jump out there. I like Phoenix. Yeah. I think Phoenix is going to return to the finals. The question is who's going to come out of the East. Right now, I like the way the Bucks are looking. I don't see anything stopping that. It just doesn't seem as sexy. Another Bucks-Phoenix, matchup. But there's a lot going on in the East right now, though.
What about the Sixers? You think the Sixers?
You know what, man? I like a lot. The best way I can put it, there's a lot of people on the Sixers I like individually, but collectively as a team. One person I'm a huge fan of is Doc Rivers, but I'm just kind of concerned that Doc Rivers, he will always get his credit by being able to probably get a job, in management or something like upper management. But I think the time he's not going to be able to turn the corner with a lot of these guys. I don't see the James Harden and B experiment working. And I just see that Doc's going to end up being the fall guy eventually, but he'll be able to find a nice cushy spot upstairs. Letitia said, who's your current best player in the NBA, Durant or Giannis? Can anyone beat the Suns or the Nets have a chance? You're right on time. Right now, I'll say Giannis is. Giannis is the most dominant player.
Yeah,
Giannis and then Giannis is on both sides of the floor. I'm talking about when your best player, that's LeBron-like. When you go down and you have a huge block to save a game. I mean, that's huge right there.
But you know what, Lindsay, we all the talk. I rarely do I hear the Grizzlies in the conversation.
You know what? And
why not?
The Grizzlies are right up under my tongue, man. You're absolutely right. With them having such success with their star player being out. So that talks about a complete team. But the concern about them, man, and I was having a conversation with my buddy Vern the other day, and he referenced Steve Smith. He talks about there are no veterans around. There's not a huge enough veteran presence, and that's my concern when it comes down to a team going deep in the playoffs, not winning a championship. That's my concern with the Grizzlies, not having that veteran presence.
Just sheerly experience.
Yeah. Who Ball Scoop said, I still think in 7 games, a series with the Warriors don't be shot. Yeah, but they got to get to 7 games. You got to get to a situation where you can do that. So the question becomes, is that going to happen, man? So we got a lot of good things to watch. I don't know if we'll better catch Terry again, so we'll do our best to do justice with this college and NFL discussion real quick if we can't get him back. But I had a chance to get over to Michigan State practice the other day. Got to see Coach Mel Tucker and the guys. And someone posted, when I posted, they said, man, it's a lot of definitely there's a lot of competitive. You can spell the competitiveness right there. That's Coach Tucker right there. And there's a lot of great energy in the building, man. Those guys are going through it, and he is just really having them focus on the fundamentals, and you see him talking about that. Going back real quick, Memphis. Hoop Ball School said Memphis too young, haven't had a taste of the playoffs. That's why I think the Warriors can get there. Yeah, that's what I was just saying also too, Hoop Ball School, about them not having that veteran presence. We'll keep an eye out for the Warriors too. But no, they're getting it in over there at Michigan State. Shout out to Coach Tucker and his staff. He's made some changes with the staff. He's brought some new faces in. They got some guys out of the transfer portal. One in particular, Amir Speed, who was part of that Georgia National Championship. So they're talking about bringing that championship culture there, man. So they're not playing with it. What stands out to you, is, if anything, about Michigan State football at this point, Orlando?
They're just grinding. I mean, it's the work ethic, it's the grind. And I'm loving every minute of it, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Switching gears, we go to that other school in the state of Michigan. Man, they made some news. Talk about, Captain Cap is in the building. Man, I know it's some U of M alumni heads exploding right now. What I had to be reminded of when I saw that Colin Kaepernick would be the honorary captain for the spring game, I had to be, at first I thought it was Coach Harbaugh,
it's 7
kind
o'clock.
of really making a stretch. But then I realized that they have a relationship going way back, and Coach Harbaugh stated that, hey, early on, before Kaepernick made the decision to kneel, they had been talking about it. So they have been having this conversation. But the other question becomes, how much do you think Coach Colin Kaepernick coming on as a captain may potentially split the alumni base or split the fan base?
Well, there's going to be some of those alumni sitting there mad about it. But the point is, yeah, you're going to get a few letters or a few backroom conversations. But at the end of the day, they love their Michigan football and they're going to be there.
And then you think about it, this is probably one of the most high-profile places that Colin Kaepernick has been in football, since he's been out,
That's it.
Come back to Michigan.
It's a fantastic thing to see. Hopefully, it's a baby step, but hopefully he keeps making those steps.
Yeah, it's something to be said about that. And I also think that this goes to show how locked in Coach Harbaugh is, because clearly he ain't worried about his job. But he's like, no, we can bring you in. You can make your honorary captain because I'm going to be here. I ain't going nowhere. And I don't care what you say. Could it be argued that he's trying to, how can I say this, be more culturally relevant than Coach Mel Tucker by bringing in Colin Kaepernick?
Well, you know what? I don't know about trying because Coach Tucker, just based upon this, is more relevant. But
let me go at this. This is what I was going to say initially. You kind of set up. Is he trying to out-black Coach Tucker?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You want to think that it's just a nice gesture, but there's always something behind it.
Yeah,
there's always a plan.
Yeah,
there's always a strategy.
Because I can't be his color.
That's right.
The most closest that I will bring something in to go with that. How about that?
That's it.
And that's gonna be something we have to sit and watch that, man. Well, that's cool. And lastly, going to the NFL, man, a lot of changes. Bruce Arians is retiring. He's going upstairs. Means there's going to be another African American coach. Well, a real African American new head coach that is, because before all that talk, they was talking about old boy was saying he biracial with San Francisco, but don't really want to acknowledge everything that's going on. But Todd Bowles will be the new head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think that's an excellent thing. He had a stint over in New York with the Jets, but that was a hard way to go, but it's good to be able to have that. And, shout out to Bruce Arians, man. I mean, for him they said he knew about this for a while, but he had to go check all the boxes. But for him to do that, but it also, they talked about he was so big on loyalty. This also kept his staff in place, Orlando. So everybody stays in place. When a new head coach comes in, they can clean house, but everything stays the same and everybody's all good.
That's fine. That's good look.
And then other than that, with the NFL, man, I'm sure it's a number of things that's going on, but we are approaching the 7 o'clock hour, and NFL update wouldn't be right without our guy, Terry McCord, who I think the wind must have knocked his
Yeah, but let me just one thing. I'm just going to ask this question to you. What's with all the love with the Lions right now?
Oh, as far as getting being able to have the draft here and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, maybe that means they projecting. That means that in a couple of years that we're going to get blessed with a kind of draft pick, and it's going to all be set up right. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe this was is it possible that it was our turn, coming around, every so many years you get a chance or a shot, but it is a lot of love being shown.
Oh yeah, that I'm still trying to figure out. Just have to keep our eye on it.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye on it, man. We'll see what's going on with that. So I won't keep you guys. We lost one of our guys, but I'm sure he'll be back around. Terry McCord, that is. He's having an issue getting on, but we're gonna wrap up right now and get him all set for next week. Orlando, I appreciate you being back, man. If you wouldn't have been back, it would just been me here talking to myself, man. So it all worked out. So we will get what you got. What's that?
No, you've got the listeners there. You got plenty of comments and plenty of questions to answer. So you would have been okay.
Got some great comments and all that too. So I want to appreciate you, Orlando Walker, for being here. Shout out to Terry McCord. Shout out to everyone making their comments. And we'll see you guys next week at the same time. Take care.
Take care.